Hi, this is Ben, and I've just had a great question asked to me by Jerry Henry on my private Facebook lease options and creative property group. Let me just read it out to you. Jerry says, "Hi Ben, what language pattern would you use to encourage a seller to use a solicitor from your preferred panel while keeping your tactics legal?" Great question. Let me explain why I was asking that question. It has been known for solicitors to kind of scupper deals. I'm talking about solicitors acting on behalf of the seller or acting on behalf of, say, a tenant buyer. And let's explain why. Because solicitors don't necessarily specialise in this area of property. And some solicitors don't even specialise in property full stop. So when you get niche into creative and lease options and installment contract type deals, then you've got more chance of there being issues around it. When I say issues, I mean that solicitor probably not understanding it properly. So again, let's go back one step. I go back to one of my mentors, Rick Otten, and he'd always say, look, when a solicitor goes to solicitor school, he probably spends a tiny portion, a couple of days maybe, over a 3, 4, 5, 6 year sort of process of learning how to be a solicitor on property, and therefore an even smaller amount onto the creative stuff if it ever gets touched upon. So human nature says if you don't understand something, you kind of resist it. So what we always promote is our sellers and our buyers working with solicitors that this stuff is run of the mill. It's their daily bread and butter. They're doing these types of contracts day in, day after each other, and it makes sense to them. So, right, when we're getting down to the actual language, I would always preempt it. So when I'm talking to a seller, I'm saying, hey, congratulations, you just sold your property to us. Or I'm talking to a tenant buyer, hey, well done, you just bought your new home. You start talking about the next steps and how they're going to want to have somebody to act on their behalf to make sure that everything is going to work out for them long term. I say, look, do you know what? Now on the phone talking to you right now, you sound like a fantastic person. And I'm hoping that on the other end of the phone, I sound like a great bloke too, and we both are. However, time can change, and you may have change in circumstances or change of your belief in what I'm doing or vice versa. So I want to make sure that you're getting the right legal advice because we both know what we want to do. And in human lay terms, you know you want to buy, I know I want you to help you to buy this property, or I know you want to sell this to me, and I want to help you to sell it to me. So what we need to do is we need a kind of a framework around that means that there's no ambiguities, that we both know exactly where we stand from day one in you selling this property to me and me buying this property from you, okay? So you want a solicitor acting on your behalf, and I'm going to have a solicitor acting on my behalf. Okay, so you and I are going to chat in very normal English and we're going to work out what we want to happen. And guess what? We're going to pass that through to a solicitor and they're going to charge both of us a whole chunk of money for putting it into old English legal jargon. Okay, but that's going to protect you from me, and with the greatest respect, it's going to protect me from you. All right. Now, here's the thing. What we have found in the past, look, hands up, I've made this mistake, okay? I've said to somebody who wants to sell the house to me that, yeah, of course they can use their brother or their mate down the pub who's a solicitor because that's what they want to do. It makes sense, pass the business to somebody they know. However, this is the mistake that I've made in the past. In allowing that to happen, that solicitor hasn't really understood what we're doing and hasn't understood it from a legal perspective because he doesn't work with it every single day of the week. It's a bit like getting a divorce lawyer to sort out your purchase of a company. You know, it's not what they specialise in. If you're going to buy a company, you get a commercial lawyer to deal with that. And it's the same with the property side of things. You get somebody who's used to dealing with property and conveyancing, and in particular, this type of property transaction. You get the expert to do it for you. And here's what you don't have to do. You don't have to pay for their time for them to learn it. Because what'll happen is, if it is your brother-in-law or the guy down the pub that you know well, or the guy from the running club, etc., then what they're going to have to do is, if they don't understand it, they're going to ask a lot more questions because they're trying to learn it and get their head around it. Okay, it's standard stuff, but if you don't know it, you've got to get your head around it. My brother-in-law is a patent lawyer. If he tries to explain to me the stuff about patent lawyer and working with Japanese on games and how to make sure that nobody else copies them, it goes way above my head. But if you are talking to somebody who is a conveyancer who deals with creative property transactions and these types of ways of buying and selling property, they'll get it and make sense. So rather than you having to pay more money for a solicitor to learn, because they'll probably ask loads of questions from our solicitors and they'll have to kind of have this sort of going back and forth dialogue and it'll take long and have to learn how to do it. Here's what I suggest, okay? We've got a bunch of solicitors that do this stuff all the time. Why don't I send you 2 or 3 of those and you can choose which one you want. Bottom line is, they are being in effect paid by you. They have to do and have to act on your behalf to protect you from me. All right? And likewise, my solicitor is going to protect me from you. All right? That's what solicitors do. That's what we pay them lots of money with, because they've spent 6 years learning all about the legal side of stuff. So why don't I send you 2 or 3 names of solicitors that get this stuff. It won't take ages for them to learn it. It'll work then in a timescale that you want to sell your property to me for, and it's going to work nice and smoothly. All right? So that'd be my recommendation to you. Is that okay with you? And then you keep it quiet, all right? Because then they say, yeah, that completely makes sense. And then what happens is when they speak to that solicitor, they'll ask questions and they'll understand. And when the solicitor tells them the pros and cons of actually buying or selling their property to me or from me using this type of lease option contract, I'll have already gone over those pros and cons. So when a solicitor tells them about it, it kind of makes sense. And they say, oh yeah, Ben's already told me about that. Yeah, I know that, I get that. All right. So, Jerry, I hope that kind of makes sense. That's kind of language I would use. That's how I would pre-frame it before it gets to them asking a question. And at the point of you kind of agreeing how you're going to sort of buy their property from them, that's what you want to do. You want to go into the next steps, is what's going to happen, and pre-frame why they should choose one of your bank of solicitors rather than use the bloke that they know who's a divorce lawyer. All right, there you go. Hope that helps, and I'll speak to you real soon. Take care.